Hey everybody, this is your OG, and this is another Godforge video. This is going to be a pretty short one. I just want to kind of give a really big shout out and a thank you to a specific individual who helped me tremendously during the wave 3. So in day 2, we were pushing hard. We were going towards one. We were at 119. We were trying to figure out how to get past 120, and I could not seem to get a team to work. And I had a very, very generous individual come into the live stream, Mr. Sneakyy Gaming. I'm sure you know him. And he came in and we talked, and he was telling me, you got to go Tristane and Isolde. Do it. Trust me. Tristane and Isolde will get you by. So I trusted him. I built Tristane. I built Isolde. There was definitely some points where I wasn't sure, completely if it was going to work, but it did. And it got me past 120 very early on when a lot of other people stayed stuck there and had to go farm and try to find, the legendary heroes they needed to get by it. I was able to get by with Guan Yu and Tristane and Isolde. That was like the core of my team. So anyways, that is, the basis of this. And so you'll see as it's going, I was building out that team, testing it, working on it. And Mr. Sneakyy was in the chat with me in the live stream, letting me know, trust me, I did this, I did that, like, build this, build that, and we'll get it there. He really was the mentor to me in this one. And I super, super appreciate it. Really was helpful. He was great about it. He stopped into the live stream several times, even though he finished, I think, 6th in the cavern race to 150. He came in the top 10. I know that. I think he was 6th. And so he finished very early and came back and just helped others. And I just think that's super notable and like really credible and amazing. And I just wanted to call it out and put out this little thank you video to him. And then also to all the other members of the community who are helping and sharing and putting out information for everybody to try to make this alpha wave more fun. And, I know it was a competition, but I think a lot of us knew that the competition piece of it might fall apart a little bit depending on the bugs we experienced, and that some of us were just not willing to chase the bugs. I, for instance, I backed off as soon as I saw the announcement about the Lady Zoc bug. I said, and we're done. That was the end of my runs at Fafnir, because I knew there was no way I was going to compete with my team against something like that. And I wasn't going to go build out to max the bug. That was just not ever has been my strategy or philosophy. We want to help fateless fix the bugs, but I never wanted to gain notoriety off of exploiting a bug. So I knew I wasn't going to do that, and I didn't. But there was some great help and some great camaraderie and some great teamwork all the way along the way. And that is what I want to call out. That's what I think is the win from the alpha, this third alpha, was that the community really worked well together, even though you could have called the different groups like competing groups. In a sense, they were, and then they also were collaborative as well. And I think that's a really positive sign out of the community as in terms of how the community is evolving for Godforge and who they are attracting. I think it's a really positive community. There you can see my 120 team. I have Tristane, Isolde, Ramses, and Guan Yu, and Achilles. Achilles being my only non-rare member of this team. Okay. Now, if this is I didn't check. I believe this is the run that we actually do beat it. Funny enough, we only beat it because Ramses kind of goes a little crazy and just solos it at the end. So I still felt like I probably had to build a little bit farther. I must have gotten it like literally just to the thresholds that I needed. And that's what we were doing, was we were building and building and building and trying to figure out, okay, how do I get over this damage output I need? How do I, how am I sustainable? And how am I going to survive at the same time? So it was a race to do damage. Obviously, with Achilles, I wanted to put bleeds. With Ramses, I wanted to put acid. With Guan Yu, I wanted to put drain and kind of get everything I could going. And then the Tristane and Isolde pairing was really my defense, and my Isolde's an evoker, so she puts an attack up, so that helps us a little bit. You can see the men's are out there, so that's keeping us alive. We also have barrier producing weapons, or I should say barrier producing imprints. The Hound of Duat imprint on Guan Yu, you can see there, he has a barrier that's keeping him alive during the waves, which was a big piece. First, you have to get to the boss at 120. And so getting through these waves, and look at this wave is not an easy wave. You have Horus, you have Anubis, you have, well, Ra's not that scary, but he can actually hit when he's an enemy, not when he's on your team. But you know, this is a pretty formidable wave here. And we didn't have the damage, as you can see, to just wipe through it. We had to stay alive. You could see Sold is down to it here. We are not just running through this. This may not be the one that we beat it on. I think we may have had to go to a later one, but regardless, the team stays roughly the same with Hey everyone, this is your OG. I'm just going to show you real quick the run leading up to me beating 120, where I lost, and the run where I do beat 120 right after it. Okay, so see, I have Broomhild, Achilles, Guan Yu, Tristane, and Isolde. And this is the run that I do not do it, but we come within like this much HP. And you see we're going after the first wave, and they get us with only one confused on Tristane, so that's pretty helpful. We got Broomhild got taunted, so she had to go attack Green Knight and get drained. Put up a shield. Achilles going single point after Green Knight. Same with Guan Yu. Guan Yu has his barrier there that he got from attacking. That's the Hound of Duat's imprint on his weapon. It was very helpful for getting past this point. All right. You can see it is not a fast wave clear. This is not a fast fight. We took us a little while. And I believe we were even on 1.5 times speed. So yeah, we're at 1.5 times speed. Just to show it to you a little faster. Might even have to kick it up a notch. There we go. 1.75 speed. Just to go through some of these waves and show you. You can see Guan Yu's level 60. He's doing some decent damage, but there it's more than just a raw damage at this level. You can't just smack your way through. This was helpful. Once we got Tristane out, we went after Mordred. And it was I was pretty confident we were going to get by this wave without losing anyone, which is always the key. You don't want to lose anyone. You want to get to the final fight with all 5 team members, because you absolutely need them. You need everything that every one of them brings. So you see just working down with basics, the remaining team members, so that in the next wave, we'll have everything ready to hopefully get through that wave. So each time you have to almost reset yourself. Each wave is a new fight. That's how I thought of it. So as best I could, when I had Tristane or Isolde left, or someone or Knight, who I know they're not going to hurt me, just sit there and use your basics and get your cores back off cooldown, get your ultimates ready. That helps tremendously with beating the next wave. You don't want to limp into this next wave, because this next wave is even harder than that one. So here you see, Achilles is pretty down and out right now. He's hurting. He's not doing so well. But I'm pretty sure he might die. He might actually die. We might get to the final boss with him dead on this one. I don't remember exactly, but we'll see here in a second. Getting the Horus down was very nice. Okay, so we lost a Sold on this one. That's who we lost. So we have the Guan Yu's ult, took out Set, and then Anubis is gone. And then once Ra's gone, Osiris can actually hit and he can be revived, so he's dangerous, but we managed to make it through with 4. and we got to 120 here. So obviously I wasn't feeling super hopeful without a sold and the shields. But we did have Broomhill still, so I let it run just to see if maybe we get lucky, you know. And funny enough, we almost did. So you can see here, we start out doing okay damage. Achilles is doing what he should do. He's putting the bleeds on. We've got a drain on. So Guan Yu's hitting and taking that 5%. We don't have quite as many joint attacks as we'd like to bring in Guan Yu more than that, but Tristane and Isolde were really there as a you know, defensive pairing that's very difficult to get through. You can see we're a little behind the curve here. He's got well over half his divinity, and we are not under half of his XP. So it's very, very close. We're like a little behind right now, I would say. And we do have, I think, 8 bleeds, though, so that's catching us up a little bit. But as you can see, the only reason this was even close is because he doesn't get his ultimate here before his turn. If he got his ult right now and then took his, he would killed us with that much left. But we got a whole nother turn here, so you can see that we're down in that last little bit, and that's all we needed was that like 10% or whatever. So we were just shy, and we hit replay. So we basically push it up to 2 to get through the waves, just back to the boss fight. We went after Mordred first, trying to take away. There was only one confuse again. So we're getting some pretty decent RNG there because he should put 75%. And we weren't getting that. Guan Yu got taunted, but that's okay because we would have been attacking Green Knight pretty much anyways. So we got Mordred out, and we know that that threat is out of play. Really, Green Knight is the other one we got to get rid of. Thankfully, we have shields up. So we're, you know, Guan Yu is kind of in a bad space, but he's gaining health as he attacks, and we should be gaining a barrier. But look, see, you don't see the barrier there when he attacked. So either he didn't do any damage against Green Knight, or it wasn't enough to give him the barrier. But regardless, now he got it. There you go. Now he did enough damage, and he got that barrier. See, Tristane has got his ultimate, so we are trying to get rid of this first wave. Not once did Isolde put charm on Tristane when he was on the other team. Not one time. Never did it. So that's not a part of her kit that actually works. It says if Tristane's on the other team, guaranteed she puts charm on him, but I've never once saw it work. And here's a perfect example. Is it Tristane in the first wave of 120, and I used Isolde, didn't work. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. That doesn't get fixed. Was like, come on, let her kit work the way it's supposed to. Why am I building her thinking, okay, I'm looking for that Tristane in the other team, and this is control? Never worked. Not once. All right, here we are, second wave. Team's looking good. Broomhild puts up Radiance, Shield. We've got Tristane putting up some mends, and he's also diverting the damage to himself, kind of like Heimdall does. So that's helpful to keeping Achilles, who you could just see took a massive hit there and is down and out. And I think in this one, we might actually lose Achilles. Unless this isn't the one we win and we have to go one more. Hopefully that's not the case, but let's jump ahead real quick and just make sure. You know what? I think it was Ramses in 90 that caused, he went nuts and caused us to win. I think this is the one we do win in. So let's bring it back to normal speed. So you see us did okay damage, you know, kind of the first 20%, 15 to 20%. Everybody is shielded up. So that's good. They look solid. Now we really need to land this drain. There it is. Now every time Guan Yu hits, 5%. So now the race begins. His divinity is pretty low. Thankfully, we don't have a ton of people hitting with like a lot of multi-hits. A lot of single point hits, which helps every hit, every damaging hit increases his divinity. So you don't want to hit him as many times as possible unless you're farming for bounty. Unless you know you can do the damage and you're farming for bounty. Otherwise, doing a lot of hits works against you. So doing one very strong hit works for you. That's the best way to get by this. So you see Achilles doing single point damage. You see Guan Yu doing that big single point damage, and then everything else it's just radiance and staying alive, and hoping that that's enough to get us past this. So we're now kind of right on pace. We're matching, I'd say his HP and his divinity are probably about the same amount or pretty close. So we're on pace, but we want to be ahead of pace. Obviously, we want to have more damage to him before he even comes close to his ultimate. But we just are working with what we're working with and putting up shields, putting up radiance. Broomhild helped a lot with that. There's the bleeds are back on. So that will help. I believe that is what takes him down at the end because he has more HP than he should to let us live. And I think it was the bleeds ticking off all the damage that wiped out the rest of his HP, along with the drain and the other things that all hit kind of at the end. It's like they hit right as he hit us and he didn't have any HP, but it's going to look like he does. So here we go. He's got about 25% of his HP. He's just shy of his ultimate. I mean, it's not going to take a lot to get him there. He's a few hits away, maybe. We put drain. We didn't get drain. So, but he took his turn without getting his ultimate. That was the big difference maker. We get a whole nother turn now. Now he gets his ultimate. So as soon as he gets to his turn, he's going to kill us. We have to get the remainder of this X HP in red there down to 1 before he gets his turn meter to here. Okay? So there's his turn meter. We still have 10-15% HP on him. Last attack, all of it got wiped out by the bleeds, and we beat him because we survived. So this is the team right here: Broomhild, Guan Yu, Tristane. We got the Trichinoli. Oh, we'll go back. And then you see we got Raw's imprint, which didn't matter because we had Raw and we weren't using him anywhere. But this was the team: 1.5 million damage out of Achilles, 870 damage, 70k damage out of Guan Yu. Tristane and his soul kicked in 125,000 damage, and Broomhild did 580 as well with her radiance, I believe. And just with her move, as a defensive damage dealer. So she had all of our best defensive gear on before we got a Heimdall. So this was how we beat 120 in 10 minutes and 150 turns using 3 rares and 2 epics. We knew the bugs were going to come into play, and that makes it kind of hard to get into the competitive spirit when that's the case. But I felt like Fateless at least did a good job of preempting it in their launch, kind of trying to water the competition, not water it down, but it's kind of like give multiple ways to win and not just make it a single point competition that was going to produce more upset people than happy people. I still think that's a little bit of the case. I mean, I'm sure there's 7 very happy people, and then there's probably 3 times that number that are like, I was supposed to be there, but that bug, so, it could have been worse. I think it was okay. But it definitely was what we expected, and wasn't ideal for a competition. So you can get away with it in alpha. We won't be able to anytime in the future. So let's just hope that this time between now and the beta and the pre-launch, all of this stuff gets buttoned up very, very tightly, because this kind of stuff would not fly in the full game launch at all. Like, it would just be a real problem. So I'm sure they'll work on it, and they have a lot of good feedback, and they understand what the issues are, hopefully. So that's something I'd like to see. I think for me, the biggest down point, if I had to give a real point of criticism from the waves all in general, I would say that the fixes that were made, let's say we had Ami No weapons doing a really good job, incredible job stealing divinity. they did a great job of nerfing that and making sure that that was taken out of play. But then for 3 waves, I didn't get a universal imprint. Like every time I earned one, it disappeared. They were one of the most valuable rewards you could get, and that was never fixed. All 3 waves, I got a universal imprint, it disappeared. And I don't know if that was an effort to protect us from getting too many duplicates too fast, but it didn't feel good when you got to 150 and your reward disappeared, after all that work. Or you farmed 150 and a third of your rewards disappeared and didn't, were just gone. So that kind of was a big drawback for me. Like, really, 150, the thing you're working so hard for, you're going to not make sure that there's a really good reward for it. That was a little off. And like, you made all the bug fixes, but you missed the quality of life fixes for us. And that's already not a great trend because it's the same trend that all the other game companies have. They make the fixes that make sense to them, and they don't make the fixes because they don't have the time and budget, is what they say. That's always their excuse why they don't make the quality of life fixes. So I didn't like that trend. It wasn't super extreme, but I did notice it. I did notice that everything that was to benefit us or to make it easier for us to get past stuff was all removed, and the fixes worked every time. But when we were told, oh, this is fixed, or this is fixed now, the fixes were rarely working the first time when they would benefit us. So I didn't love that theme. But outside of that, the game was fun. The game loop definitely has depth. I can see as they add attunement to the gear, that's going to make it a lot more selective and doing a lot more gear farming. I'm sure weapons are going to be far more difficult to come by in the full game. We have heard some things about possibly their rewards for reliquary rooms. So you first have to find the reliquary room, know how to unlock it, and then beat it. And then I think that's how you might be able to get weapons. There could be other ways as well, but and we're only speculating. We don't know. It's a long ways off. They could change things. But it seems as though we aren't going to have access to near as many of the resources as we were expecting to. All right. So we are wrapping here. I just wanted to, as I mentioned, thank Mr. Sneakyy again. Thank everybody who came into the live stream to help me and to get help for themselves. It was a great time, and I appreciate everybody that participated in the journey that I was a part of. So thanks, everybody, for sticking with me. Thank you, Mr. Sneakyy, for all your help. You're awesome. You are a mentor to the CCs, and really appreciate you. So thank you so much. Take care of yourself, everybody, and remember, play smarter.